The reason why I decided to come aboard for this amazing new adaptation of The Color Purple was really because this movie has meant so much to me and my family for so long. I mean, I just can tell you the amount of stories that I have with this film, from remembering when I was a little girl and just always having it play somewhere, like in the background, or watching my mom and dad watch it. And it just means a lot that, something that means so much to our family generations, I can now be a part of. Nettie is an amazing character. She is a fiery spirit. She is so filled with joy and just wants to live. She has this very curious mind and curious spirit, and I think that's what I love most about her. I think it means so much to be a woman in this film. I think this film in particular shows the different shapes and forms that we have as women and what we endure, and the pain and the heartbreak, and even through the midst of all of that, how we can still come out with such love and beauty and strength surrounding us. And, that's the beautiful thing about this film, is the fact that it shows all the layers it is of a woman, what it is that you go through as a journey of a woman. When I first heard the music of the film, I was just like blown away. And honestly, I am just a fan of all of the people that are involved in this film. I mean, the amazing musicians like Tamala Mann and H.E.R. and, Felicia and Fantasia and Taraji. I'm just like, what? How am I here? And so just kind of watching everyone just be superb at their craft. The Color Purple and its legacy means the world to me. I mean, when I talk to my grandmother about what this film means to her, her eyes light up. And when I look at my grandmother, she is a figure who has so much wisdom and strength and courage. And I think that is something that this film represents. I think The Color Purple has endured for so long because people can relate to the ups and downs that the film kind of bestows on all of us. I think that, although it's a very deep and dark and painful story, there's such a light at the end of the tunnel messaging.
It's one of those stories that everyone can feel a part of themselves in. You can see a family member, this story. It doesn't matter who you are, you can identify someone in this story. When you are remaking a historical film, and it's a dated film, in order to get the newer generation, you kind of do have to tweak it and update it a little bit. This entire cast was handpicked by Blitz, and I mean, he had a vision. And he fought for everybody in this film, and I'm just so grateful because I don't think he could have put together a better cast. What I love about Blitz, and when he first approached me about this story, he was like, it's a great marriage of the book, the original film, and the stage play. And what I love about this version of the film is tapping into the joy. Blitz's vision is not leaning on the sorrow and the pain and the trauma, but how Black people and how we have been able to miraculously turn our trauma into joy. It's very spiritual, in my opinion. I mean, it's the full gamut of the music back then. It's jazz, it's blues, it's gospel, and then when we get to the end, we bring you up to date with some of the, music of today's music. And that's just, when you talk about Black culture, you can't talk about it without music, you just can't.
I decided to actually be a part of this film because of the legacy of this film, of this story, of the book, the legacy of Oprah Winfrey, of Quincy Jones, of Steven Spielberg. And I think that they were gathering a team of artists led by Blitz to tell the story about not only this family, I'll just say in this community, but of the story of Black people in America. Everything is speaking to each other. You know, the music is speaking to the dance, and the dance is speaking to the text. And I think then you cast actors and musicians like me and my comrades, people who it's part of exactly who we are and our own personal mandates of how we infuse that into our work. So I think it's a perfect marriage. Taraji is a hurricane. Taraji is a volcano. Taraji is pure passion and light, and she's honest. She's one of the most honest actresses that I've worked with. I love working with her. Fantasia is the color purple in every single way. I think Fantasia and I have had many conversations on what she believes, where she believes she is in her evolution as a performer in this space. Now, she knows how to sing and perform down, but this is a new space for her, and I feel like we've been watching her flower. Corey, I've admired Corey for many years. I know Corey from New York theater circles, and this is our first time ever working together. And we're so much alike, actually. We have, I think, the same work ethic. I think that we have the same sort of spirit around work and how we get it done. I think he's become such a dear brother of mine. I really love working with him. Blitz is truly a visionary. He is a visual artist in every single way. I think what I love is having conversations with Blitz and finding out what's in his brain. What I love is that if there's an organic, beautiful moment happening, he's very aware to capture it as well. So he's always watching. That's what I love. That's what I've been appreciating about him as well. He'll watch what you bring. He doesn't ham-fist you into something that he already had in his head. He knows the world, and he's trusting his actors to say, fill it. Bring all that you have, and then we'll play with it like clay. Oprah said it to us actually on the day that we did our read-through, how this is a gift, and we have to acknowledge it as a gift because we change lives with this gift. And you really hope to do that with every project you work on. Some are a bit more special than others. This feels like one of those very special ones that I know that many generations will view, and they will see who we are and the stories we're trying to tell about our families, their triumphs, their tragedies, their losses, their joys, the way we dance, the way we move, the way we love, the way we fight to love each other. I think it's a tremendous legacy. It has endured because it's such a complicated, tragic, yet hopeful story of how we can persevere. I think that's why that story is so important. It's like, yeah, African Americans in America have not been treated well. We've not been treated well by this country. We've not been treated well sometimes by each other. But through all that adversity, we will always survive. We will always create. We will always innovate. We are the most innovative people in the world. The idea that we're still here through everything that we have gone through and everything that we do go through, and we can still dance, we can still sing, we can still love and have families. It's extraordinary. So that's a tale, and that's a tale not only for African Americans, but for everyone.
I've said many times, it's not your mama's color purple, but your mama gonna love it. She's gonna love it because I think we all, certainly I am, have a great sense of loyalty to the original Color Purple. That changed my life more than anything, any other experience of my life. The Color Purple changed my life in a myriad of ways that I won't go into here. But my affection and appreciation for that version remains. But this is a magically realized inside Ceeley's imagination, inside Ceeley's thoughts. We interviewed a number of people for the possibility of directing this film. And it was a slam dunk, 100%. Everybody in the room said, that's the guy, when Blitz made his first presentation. And his first presentation was storyboarded with these ideas of magical realism. His vision for what this movie could be comes alive in a way that I think will excite and stimulate and delight the audience. The essence of the message of this film continues to be the essence of the message of the book, and the essence of the Broadway musical, and the essence of the original film. And that is, God get pissed if you don't notice the color purple. And that is the root of gratitude, spiritual acknowledgement that there is something bigger than yourself. Well, we have such an incredible ensemble cast. I mean, this cast is fire, okay? From Coleman Domingo to Corey Hawkins to Taraji, obviously Fantasia in the starring role. The root message for me is that love heals. First and foremost, forgiveness heals. Forgiveness beginning with yourself and then being able to extend that to other people, and the healing takes place. The great thing about this film is, like, when you go to a good church service and the choir is singing and everybody's on key and you stood up and you were singing and you filled with the Holy Spirit and you come out of that service and you feel full. You just feel full. You feel like, I got enough to carry me through the rest of the week till I can get back and get some more. That's what the color purple is gonna do for people. It's gonna fill you up and carry you to the next week when you go back and get some more and see it again.
I think when you're cast in a movie like this one, and it's a musical, and it's produced by Steven Spielberg and Quincy Jones and Oprah, you don't say no. I think Celie stands for hope. She stands for perseverance and determination. But I think the best way I can answer that, and I think it's most authentic and fair to Celie to say, she stands for herself. The music in this film is amazing because I think it hits every single spectrum of Black and African-American music throughout the times. We have gospel, we have blues, we have, little vaudeville music, and we even have pop songs. And it kind of just shows again how ingrained music is in African-American and Black culture. I remember when I first met with Blitz, we had a Zoom, and he told me his mission statement was to showcase Blackness on every spectrum. And I think simply just, if you want to just go from the cast standpoint, we have so many different skin tones, hair textures, facial features. So he's already covered there. And I think what he's doing is really showcasing Blackness as authentically as possible. I think many people say this, but The Color Purple was one of the first things that I saw myself in. I saw Whoopi Goldberg and was like, I think I want to be an actor. I can do that. And not only that, but I think it's amazing to see how those actors and the people that were in that film almost were like seeds that were planted, and then you get to watch them grow and become these things and bear their own fruit and bear their own trees and start planting their own gardens. And I think that part of that legacy is amazing. I think it's endured and it's relevant today because I think most people at some point in their life can relate to feeling disenfranchised and feeling inferior to someone or a power that be, whether it be family or work or school. People can relate to being an underdog. And I think this film and this story is so special because you meet Celie when she is young, when she's going through the trusses of that, of what it looks like to be abused as a young kid. And then you see her grow and she keeps growing and you grow with her. And I think it's very rare that you get to watch somebody live a spectrum of a full human life and watch them grow. And I think the audience is growing along with her. I just hope that audiences can really feel the love and care that went into the retelling of the story. So many of the cast and crew are here simply because they have a connection to The Color Purple. And I think on a greater scale, I hope that audiences can take away that our stories are actually really similar. Even though we are all different and come from different backgrounds, we are very much the same, and that if we can have a little more empathy for each other, we can all win in the end in the way that Celie finally wins in the end.
Danielle is very strong Black woman who has fought her way through this industry, standing out from the stereotype, as well as myself, as well as Taraji. And she's not afraid to say what she wants to say. I noticed that when we were off camera, and I would say to her, "You are Sophia in real life." she would laugh. I'm like, it's true. And I believe that I'm Celie. Blitz couldn't have picked us out perfect picks. Oprah, just having her here, knowing her story, knowing that she played in the first Color Purple, having her here makes us really be on our P's and Q's because we want to fulfill the vision that she sees for Color Purple, the musical. We don't want to disappoint everything that she put in. She told us her story, how she got the role, what it meant to her. And because of that, we're bringing our A game to make her happy. She is a woman of color who has paved the way for us all, who has shown us that you can do whatever you want to do as long as you put your mind to it. Nobody stopped her, nobody stood in her way. She had to knock down some doors, but she did it. And so for us, we're gonna knock down doors with this movie for her and every other Black woman out there. The singing, the dancing, the costumes, tweaking the story here and there. It's a bit different. It fits this generation. Everything grows, everything changes. So we don't want to change the movie because the grit of the movie is what makes it so good. But we want to connect with the younger generation. And I think that we did a really good job doing that. Everybody who's a part of this movie, down to the dancers, put their heart and soul into it because all we could remember was our ancestors. We are out here on some of these grounds and we look at the trees and we look at certain things around us and we're like, the people who came before us who did not get to see what we're seeing today, let's give it our all so that we can remind our young people that you're a king, you're a queen. You were placed here for a reason. Love each other, protect each other, listen to one another. So many messages in this that you have to see.
How could I not come back to Sophia? I mean, she's so much fun to play. She's so complicated. And she's super challenging to step into her shoes because she goes from this firecracker, that is actually very chill until you poke the bear, to, falling and to rising again. And I really enjoy stepping into her shoes because it's so true to life. I really feel like Miss Winfrey really stamped Sophia as one of the most iconic roles in America's cinema. Like, what she did with that character, she left such a great blueprint for me to follow and has really made my job much easier. Between her and the words of Alice Walker, it's really just made, my work much easier to get into Sophia and discover who she is. I think Blitz truly is a visionary. I think the cast was cast so well. I feel like this overwhelming feeling too, because we all know, especially as Black people, how impactful this has been for the community. And after watching that, knowing that we have the potential to hold that same impact for the next generation really blows my mind. I was very excited about them refreshing the music, and they definitely did, even with Hell No. It had a slower tempo originally, and they sped it up and rejuvenated it, and I just really thought it was fresh and new. The Color Purple is still relevant because we are still dealing with a lot of these things, such as race discrimination or abuse as women, or even just self-abuse and not loving ourselves. And we as people will always be learning how to cope, how to love, how to forgive, So with that in mind, this movie will always be relevant. And the thing that I love is that it keeps the story of Black women alive, not forgetting where we come from and how far we have to go, but how far we've already come. And that's really cool. So I definitely feel like this is a film that will never die, and I don't think we'll let it die. For Fantasia, this is her first, big film, and she's leading the cast. And I have been on shows where you either don't feel supported because something might be new to you and people feel like, well, how did you get in this position? But no, she's deserving of this moment, and I think she did an incredible job. And I think that's what sisterhood is about, as we see in the movie. It's like helping one another to be our best and to realize our potential and to realize that we can do and be whatever we want to be. And so I think we lived by that on set and off set. This movie is about healing, it's about forgiveness, it's about love. It's about picking yourself back up, no matter how strong or weak you might feel, that you can always get back up again. Bliss is a visionary. I feel like God just knew that he was the one to do this. When I watched that film, I felt like he hit every micro detail. He didn't miss a beat. I've never seen myself lit that way. I just felt like he cared so much about every little detail. And he also gave us and me, I felt specifically me, this room to just trust my instincts. And he didn't let us hold anything back. So I'm very grateful to Blitz for seeing me, for allowing me to play this part, for his demeanor on set. I was so in awe of how he handled people with grace. I don't know if I can look at the camera. Y'all better go see this movie. It's so good. I mean, if you're into film, go see this movie. If you have not been to a theater in years because of the pandemic, this is the one to see. This is the one to see with your family, your aunts, your sororities, your fraternities. This is the movie to see with your grandma, with your 12-year-old daughter, because this is us as Black people. Specifically, this embodies all of who we are, the good, bad, ugly, in between. So please go see this film.
The Color Purple legacy is everything, because you get to see Black women just come into their own and find their voice in a place where they felt voiceless. And I think it's such an important movie. It's such an important film to the culture. So I'm just proud and excited to be a part of it. There's so many messages within this movie, within the story of The Color Purple. I think the main one is never lose hope. Audiences are gonna get so much joy from this movie just because of how beautiful it is. And I hope that, we capture the essence of the original film while giving some people this fresh new perspective and this new feeling. I think the aesthetic of it is gonna be crazy, and the music mixed in is amazing. On top of this incredible, talented, crazy, legendary cast, I think that people are gonna really enjoy it.
Blitz is amazing. He's so collaborative, and he just has amazing vision. I don't know how he did it all, but he just, there was, like I said, that level of comfort on set and the level of fun. And of course the challenge was there, but he really told us, he was very intentional about making it our own and really embodying the characters the way we would. Not saying, okay, Oprah made this choice, or, Ray Don Chong made this choice, so do that. It's more like, how do you embody the character and who they are, and not necessarily who they were? And that was really, really cool, and I think we really did that because of that advice. It's a new Color Purple, and it's great. He killed it. You just gotta experience it.
I can't really put it into words. Like I said, I was speechless when I saw it, but it's just so beautiful and it's so new. I think everybody, like the cast, really cemented these new characters. Like, I'm so happy, like my younger sister, this will be how she's introduced to The Color Purple, you know? It's just a whole new reimagined version, but you're getting the story just in a fresh way.
Bliss is out of his goddamn mind, and you need your geniuses to be like that. I don't want a sane genius. Like, if you're sane, nobody want that. Benjamin Franklin was outside with a kite and a key in a thunderstorm. His friends wasn't out there. They knew he was insane. It's like, yeah, he's still out there looking in the sky. Like, yeah, I want my geniuses insane, and that's how Bliss is. He is out of his mind. Color Purple's legacy means, you know, just making it right. Just it's a movie that pinpoints making it right. That's how I feel. It just makes it right. It shows the struggle and shows the outcome of it. And people identify with that struggle to this day, you know, even though it might be a modern day struggle, but it's still the same. That's what the film is about. It's about faith and spirituality. I mean, without that, you have nothing at all. And that's all the characters have to lean on, you know. Whether it's embracing God or blaming God, God has something to do with every aspect of this movie. It's an iconic film. To have anything to do with this film is an honor, you know, anything. I hope it does what the first one did. It brought families together. It had everybody talking. It was dialogue left and right, just talking about what if, what they would have done, what they think they would have done, how they would have played the situation, their faith in God, how they hold their faith up. People probably going through the same thing right now to look at that and pull strength from what they see out of the movie and see how she becomes victorious and gets on her own feet or whatever. So I want everybody to look at this, knowing somebody in a situation like that, or if they're in a situation like that, to look at this and pull some strength out of it and you know, become victorious themselves. It's gonna bring together the new generation as well as the old generation. Everybody's gonna come together and they're gonna have dialogue again. That's what I'm thinking. That's what's gonna happen. And I believe that it's going to be just a good piece of material to bridge gaps.
The Color Purple's legacy to me is an expansion of canon, and the expansion of canon to include the Black mythological figures. These are now, just like you look at Greek mythology, these are now American stories, American myths. I think anything that has a depth of humanity that expresses something that is universal while tapping into the questions of the time we're living in. So it is current at the same time as it's universal. At the time The Color Purple came out, there was a question that we're still grappling with of Black identity and understanding how we can really affirm our humanity when there's so many things that, particularly where you talk about Jim Crow, you talk about the Civil Rights Movement, all these things that are trying to strip it away, marginalizing those voices. And our voices really needed stories that connected to our humanity, not just the struggle. And in particular, Black women. You know, it's incredible to have a story like this. And I think that's what makes it universal, because the struggle of affirming your humanity is something that all of us across time and generations have experienced. Different cultures in different forms have had to fight for their humanity to be affirmed. So a story like this came at a timely moment and is a universal struggle. There's a lot of messages. It's an intersection of a lot of different things. It's lineage and the power of lineage, the power of how generational curses or things from generations past affect the way that everyone's life unfolds, and how you can break those chains or how you can create, you can perpetuate them. It's a story of female empowerment. It's a story of true friendship, There's many great messages. It's a human story, and that's what makes it ultimately great and enduring, is that it was just so well done.
I first got the call for Color Purple maybe about 6 months, a few months before we started production. I've been working with Scott Sanders and Mara Jacobs on In the Heights, and John True was directing that. And I've been bugging them forever because I knew they were doing The Color Purple. And I was like, how in the world can I get on this movie? I really want to play a harpo. The dancers in this film just make this film. They are incredible. You know, me having to do a few steps here and there, and I'm breathing heavy, I can't keep up. Lord Jesus, it's a lot. But the dancers are just awesome. Blitz is on the same page with all of his actors, and so it's just, his attention to detail is just epic. From the moment we talked about the vision and the storyboards and where he wanted to go with it, you know that if a director says, I got you, you know, you trust them. First of all, Fantasia's voice is once in a generation, right? Like, I don't think there's anybody else who can reach down and pull. I'm talking like my great-grandmother, God rest her soul before she passed, she loved her music, you know what I mean? Like Fantasia, especially because my great-grandmother was a pastor, and when Fantasia sings gospel music, it just, it takes you, it transports you. It's interesting. I would say, you know, it's Oprah and Scott, they all talk about all things purple, right? Like divine. And I don't know what the legacy means to me at this point because I'm in it, you know? I think it's one thing when you can sort of step away from it and look back on it. I wonder what that's like for Scott, for Oprah, for Alice, Miss Walker, like what that is, just like to see something and it become an incredible piece of art, and then see that change, and then that's an incredible piece of art, and so they're still in it. So I'm like, do they know what the legacy is, you know? So I can't even begin to, I'm just joining this family, and I feel so blessed to join the Color Purple family. The audience has to bring all of their experiences to the film. I'm different, you're different. I don't care if we look alike or we don't look alike. When you come and sit in that theater, I can't tell you what to expect. All you're doing is you get to peek behind the curtain and see what it is that we're about, and what this very specific time period and these very specific people, you get to see what that is. And that's all you can ask, you know? And if they come back and talk about it, then it's a job well done. But I have a suspicion, we've been talking about Color Purple this long, I think we'll be talking about it for years to come.
I remember when I read Alice's novel years ago, and I found myself so moved by Celie's journey in particular. I found this protagonist one of the most remarkable women / people that I had ever read about, fiction or otherwise. And I found this classic triumph over adversity story in many ways moving, inspiring, sad, joyful, all of the above. But I found Celie's ability to put one foot in front of the other day after day after day and move forward, notwithstanding her obstacles and the things that were challenging her in her life. And not only to be loving to other people, Sophia, Shug, Harpo, but also then towards the end of the story, to find her own self-love and to feel like a fully realized person, that she can be independent, she can be whoever she wants to be, and that her trauma doesn't necessarily have to affect her full life. I feel that when someone sings, there's an emotion, a heightened emotion that happens, and you can really get to the core of some very intimate feelings when you sing. And of course, Stephen and Quincy's movie had music in it. I mean, there's a lot of great, beautiful music composed by Quincy and his team for that film, but a full-on book musical, if you will, that the stage musical was, really gave us an opportunity to sing more. And I feel like this is such an emotional story, such a heartfelt story, such a spiritual story, that it would be ripe for adapting it in a musical form. This Color Purple film is really a combination of a lot of different elements stemming from Alice Walker's novel. So the source material, if you will, for this movie is Alice's novel, the stage musical, some Easter eggs from Steven Spielberg's movie, and an entire new vocabulary of magical realism.
I got a phone call, said they were remaking The Color Purple, and you know, of course, when you hear that, you go, that can't be me. You know, I mean, the bar is so high on the original. It's a Steven Spielberg. It's a Pulitzer Prize-winning book. It's Alice Walker. It's a Tony Award-winning Broadway show, right? So you quickly go, you know, there are other hills, you know, and I eventually read the script, and I was like, something here. There's something I can do here, and there's an opportunity to create something new and create something that is mine. And so one meeting led to the next, and you know, put together a great pitch that really showed that we had a vision, and there was a path to making something that was truly unique. The Color Purple follows the journey of Celie, an African-American woman growing up in the rural South in the early 1900s. She is forced to marry a man, Mr., who's abusive, who ends up separating her from her sister, and begins a cycle of trauma. Along her way, Celie meets two extraordinary women who transform her, Shug Avery and Sophia, and they kind of inspire her to become this person who then attracts the things that she wants. I knew that our film will have to be an amalgam of all these iterations, right? Of course, beginning with the Holy Grail, which is Alice Walker's brilliant Pulitzer Prize-winning book. That, for me, was the Bible. We'll always be able, whenever we were lost, we knew that we could go to Alice Walker and we will find our way. Steven's film gave us kind of the cinematic version, and the Broadway show gave us the musical. But somewhere in between all of this, we had to find what would be our glue. And that was what was going to be on us. And also we knew that we were bringing an imaginative quality that only our version has. And so that imaginative quality became almost the glue that held all the parts together. But it needed to be grounded, you know? As far as I believe, anything that is imaginative or what people will call magical realist, the realism part is the critical part, because you can easily get off course and go off the reservation trying to be abstract, right? And so grounding the film in Alice's brilliant arc then made sure that anywhere we went, we could always return to the arc. And that's really, I think, what gave us our wings. This is a brilliant ensemble. You know, I am one of the luckiest directors in the world to have the level of skill and talent, and also rich depth. Like, everybody brought a wealth. You know, my job as a director is to allow space. It's to create space for these artists to be artists. I take no responsibility and no credit for what they do. My job is just to create the environment and make it real and push them into that corner and allow them to be that, you know, and people like Danielle, that's all they need. You don't have to say much. You show them the world, you tell them you believe in them, you tell them you trust that they'll find it, and they always do. I never look at any people as a monolith. You know, no one's just sad. No one's just happy. We oscillate between joy and pain. That's what life is. So I find it quite unrealistic and quite one-dimensional that any story could be sob. And certainly the story of African Americans in this country is one that has constantly oscillated. If you think about the brutality that has been survived for hundreds of years, joy is critical to survival. And there's always been joy, even with, in the worst circumstances. So I say that to say, for me, it was easy. It wasn't even a thought. I was like, we're just gonna keep bouncing back and forth. And that is a human story. And that's what I also know makes this story universal, because we can all identify that oscillation between joy and pain. And Celie's story is exactly that. I always say this, when you don't just cast your cast, you cast your crew as well. It's the same thing, it's an energy. You need people who can be proximate, people who, even if they are not culturally, aligned, can be allies, because that's your eye. That person is going to be more proximate, and if they see beauty in the things you see beauty in, then you have a chance of making a phenomenal film. I mean, she just has a natural way of motivating and getting people excited, because she is truly, deeply excited about this work. I mean, this movie changed her life dramatically and radically. And so when she's there, it's not for the fanfare. It's because she truly believes that this work heals, and every time, we went through a very challenging production period. We struggled with COVID, we struggled with weather, and to maintain morale for 72 days of these very extreme and oscillating emotions, every now and then you need somebody who just shows up and lifts us all up. And that was Oprah. Yeah, it was magical to have her. We've decided very consciously to contribute to the canon of The Color Purple and take it to a place that it has never gone to. And, there's gonna be a group who are gonna show up expecting Steven Spielberg's Color Purple. And I think they'll be pleasantly surprised that we could add to. And for something that this storied and this special, we were able to add to something that is so historical. And certainly young people are going to find themselves in it, and those from an older generation are going to see elements of it that are new, but all still maintaining its grounded narrative. We inherited a slew of music from the Broadway show, and our biggest job was to figure out how we were going to take that music from Broadway and make it cinematic. One of my biggest jobs out of everything was to also create a level of proximity to audiences today. Just because it's music set in 1909, does that mean that it has to be only instruments from 1909? I think that the power of this film is one that galvanizes community. It is one that has always galvanized community. It has big moments of humor, big laughs. It has big trauma, and it has big tears. And I think that those are the releases that are even more special when it's in a public place, because it becomes contagious, right? And I really believe that cinematically, the work that we've done deserves to be seen on the biggest screens possible.
He is the right director because, first of all, he's so nurturing and he pays attention to everything. The bow on the hat, the bow is too much. The shoes, the car, the choreography, how the camera's moving. He's putting the pieces of the puzzle together as he's filming it. He was interested in us owning these characters and making them our own. He wasn't interested in, anything that the original film was. He was just paying particular attention and care, took great care in telling the story, because the story's the story, and the colorization of it, it was a light film. It wasn't dark, It still had mood and moody moments, but it was alive and it was vibrant and it was full of life, like Black people. That's what we are. Even through our struggles, we learn how to laugh and dance and sing. The only way you're gonna get the full effect is to see it on the big screen. All the movement, all the the choreography and the song and dance, and it's such a family-oriented piece that you need to be with people, with a group of people, and the best way to do that is in a theater.
So The Color Purple holds a solid base of spiritual and emotional power for me, and in just every way. So it's absolutely a full circle moment for me, who wanted more than anything in the world in 1985 to be a part of this film, not knowing one human being in the film industry, and having this role come to me, and now being able to full circle put it back out into the world in the form of a musical. Nothing means more to me. The story endures because for every woman and man who has suffered, who has been invisible, who has felt unseen and unvalued, this is their story of coming into yourself, coming into your own, having that glorious self-discovery reflected to you through the image of someone else.
The first movie will always and forever be a classic. Can't touch it, right? We're living in different times now, different generation. So I think that it was very clever for them to kind of touch it in a different way. Blitz went in and killed the music, of course. Like, he brought a 2023 swag to it that kids can relate to, because we've been singing those songs for a long time now. I did Broadway, 14 years ago. Woo, says my age. And when we heard the revised music and the things that he put to it, and the song that Halle brings to it, it's perfect. It's just right. Why was Blitz the right director for this film? Because of his heart. Because of his heart. He actually cares. The entire time we were filming, some of the hardest scenes for me, he checked on me. He handpicked everybody himself. Even when they said no, he fought for us. He's invested in it. He spoke about his mother, the stories with his mother. So this meant something to him. And he never left us, always checked on us. His heart. You can't make a film like this or remake a film like this if you don't have that type of heart. He has a good heart. I think his heart is the color purple. I think we're living in a time where we need healing, healing messages, healing music, healing sermons. Like, we need healing. And I believe that through this movie, families will be healed.